Hello and welcome to the Print Dashboard. The Auto Expo is on and it has returned after a long gap of 3 years. And the Print's auto expert Kushan Mitra was there. So to know all the action that's happening there, all the new launches, all the new ideas that are being showcased for this week-long event, we connect straight to Kushan. Hi Kushan, welcome to the Print.
Thank you, Anurag. Yes, the Auto Expo has been on in very cold weather. It was very cold. 8:30 in the morning was the first press conference on the media day where Maruti Suzuki unveiled their EVX, which is going to be the concept on which their first electric car that's going to be coming in 2025, 2 years from now, will be based. And it was quite clear, as I've written over here at the Print, that electric was the main theme. Everywhere you went, whether it was MG, BYD, Hyundai, Kia, it was all electrics. You saw electrics concepts, cars that might be coming to the country. They were all electrics. Of course, there was also some hydrogen and ethanol all over the place. But the only car that was actually launched at the Auto Expo was the Ioniq 5. And while it's been showcased for a while, Hyundai announced the prices of the Ioniq 5, which will be assembled in Chennai at 45 lakhs. So that media drive will be coming up soon. And please do read my review of the Ioniq 5 when it does come out. We'll probably be doing a video on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been seeing a lot of news from Tata.
Yes,
it has been making buzz. So let our viewers know.
Oh, wow. Tata was the car maker that made the most buzz at the Auto Expo. I mean, Tata Motors, because they have one of the wider portfolios. I mean, from small commercial vehicles like the Tata Ace now, which is electrified now. You have a small electrified version of the Tata Ace. But they were showcasing a lot of the new EVs based on the current platforms like the Harrier EV, and you had Altroz EV as well. But they also showcased some of their future platforms, such as the Curve CURVV, which will now have an internal combustion engine as well, even though the first Curve concept when it was showcased was an electric. And they also showcased the return of the Tata Sierra.
Right.
Which looked really nice. I mean, it's got the same, curved rear glass that the Sierra was famous for back in the past. And this will be a pure EV as well. Tata Motors has made very clear that they look at EVs as an opportunity for them. They've sold 50,000 EVs so far in the Indian market, and they hope to sell 50,000 EVs in 2023 alone.
Would it be correct to say that Tata is again upping the game for the Indian auto sector, because it's focusing full on electric, it's still keeps its focus on the IC engine.
Yes.
It's sort of the entire gamut of offerings. To me, it looks like they are future ready, or like they want to at least project that.
Tata Motors was the fastest growing car maker in 2022. Fastest growing large car maker, let me put it like that. They beat Hyundai out for the number 2 position a couple of times last year in some months, even though Hyundai did, for the year itself, 2022 calendar year, Hyundai was number 2 to Maruti Suzuki. Tata Motors has come on very strong. Their new cars have done very well. And even older platforms like the Nexon, which is actually based on an older platform, on the Tata Bolt actually, is doing very, very well. The Nexon EV, and they look at EVs, even though their current EV lineup are just conversions of IC cars. They're very, very strong on EVs. If you go around Delhi in particular right now, you see a lot of electric taxis from service providers such as Blue Smart that are all running something called the Express T, which is the commercial variant of the Tigor EV. You see a lot of Tata Nexon EVs that are running for the government in Delhi, because the government wants at least the bureaucrats and short commute distances to become EVs as well.
Clearly, Tata is covering all bases, be it electric or or IC engines. But what about the competitors? I see Maruti finally came up with the Jimny. Much awaited.
Much awaited Jimny.
3 years after the 2-door version was three-door version was shown.
Yeah.
Finally, the
the 5-door one is out. The 5-door one is out, and it was I didn't attend that conference because I had my ICOTY awards that night. But I believe I was seeing pictures of my friends in the conference. They couldn't barely see the car because it's so crowded, so excited. I believe the Maruti Nexa website crashed when people wanted to book it. People have been looking to book the Jimny a lot. They're really excited about it. So here's what we know about the Jimny so far. You'll come out with something called All Grip Pro on the top end model, which will have a low ratio gearbox, where you have ability to go to 4 low for 4-wheel drive, for low ratio on 4-wheel drive, as well as having a smart system for all grip that Maruti has. It will have the 1.5 liter K15 engine with about 100 PS of power, and it will be a mild hybrid. That's what we know about the Jimny. I believe the launch is going to be, formal deliveries will start. Launch has already been launched. Formal deliveries will start around the March-April time frame. And actually, even though Mahindra did not take part in the Auto Expo, I think they knew the Jimny was coming. So they also launched the rear-wheel drive version of the Mahindra Thar a few days before the Auto Expo. It's a car we'll be driving and reviewing very soon on ThePrint.
It's like staying away from the Auto Expo, but still managing to
keep
the news on. And what about other competitors? Which, according to you, is or which are the offerings that you see stood out for you?
Well, I looked at the Kia stall very interestingly. I mean, Kia had some interesting concepts. I really like Kia is now making purpose-built versions of the Karen's van, which won the Indian Car of the Year, for the police and for the ambulance services. They look very nice. But they also showcased the KA4, which many of us believe will be the new version of the Carnival, which has done very well. And they showcase the EV9, which is a van, but it's a full electric, as it said. There was also the Seal from BYD, which is their next generation of electric car, which looks really nice. The BYD blade cells are used by Mercedes-Benz and Toyota, and therefore Maruti Suzuki as well. They'll be used in their cars. MG showcased a lot of cars. So they said, MG's boss, Rajiv Chaba, said all the cars they showcased at their stall were not concepts. They were all production ready. They're just sussing out the market. So you had everything from the MG4 electric. You had the MG EHS, which is a hybrid. MG also showcased plug-in hybrids, which is a technology that hasn't come to India as yet. So a plug-in hybrid is a sort of go-between an EV and a hybrid, where you can charge the battery pack at home. It's a smaller battery pack than, say, a pure EV, but a larger battery pack than what you call a self-charging hybrid, like the Grand Vitara or the new Innova Hycross.
Very interesting, Kushan. As you mentioned in the beginning of the show today, that there was just one car that was actually one that was actually launched for the market. And because you have been covering this for a really long time, how do you see the ratio between the number of offerings which are futuristic and the number which is ready? Because for me, what I could gather this time was that a lot of stuff that was being offered looks they will be ready in if not long term, in medium term, or maybe in some cases even short term, maybe a couple of years from now, they would be ready to roll.
No, like the Tata Harrier.EV is, according to them, still a concept, but they were running not on what we call concept tires. Concept tires are always huge wheels and very narrow tires, very slim tires. But these were running on, as a colleague mentioned, they were running on MRFs, and you don't run concepts on MRFs, so it must be very, very close to production. Maruti clearly said that the EVX will come in 2 years' time. They've made that very clear. While Kia didn't say when the EV9, which is a concept, will come out, it's clear that the EV9 will be launched in global markets by 2024. Even ones that were more futuristic, like the Curve from Tata or even the Avinya from Tata, are medium-term cars. They're all 2024, 2025. I don't think people are looking very long-term as yet, because the market is evolving very, very fast. There are going to be questions about whether battery electrics are the way forward. There's, of course, a lot of talk about hydrogen as well. So there are quite a few vehicles that ran on hydrogen that were being showcased.
Then we can clearly say that the nature of the Auto Expo in itself has changed vastly in the last 3 years, because purely speaking, from an auto enthusiast point of view, there used to be majority offerings used to look good, futuristic, but in your heart of heart, you know that it's not coming anytime soon. But this time, I think it's a lot of them were like, as
Oh,
you
yes.
say, they were near to production.
They were
ready.
near production, but what is also unfortunate, many manufacturers did not take part. In fact, I was very surprised Mahindra didn't take part, because Mahindra did have some interesting concepts to showcase. None of the luxury manufacturers took part. So there was no Audi, no BMW, no Mercedes. Of course, Volkswagen Group also didn't take part. Honda also didn't take part. In fact, the day before the expo, Honda sent us a teaser of their upcoming SUV that will be based on the City, the hybrid SUV that will be coming in the middle of the year. So, but everything looks more ready. I think
Ready, yet futuristic, because India is
Yeah.
moving electric. And Kushan, in one of his columns, does mention that there were two E's that ruled the roost at this year's Auto Expo. First was electric, and the other was
ethanol.
ethanol.
And we saw from Maruti a flexible fuel vehicle. Of course, the day Nitin Gadkari came, day 2 of the Auto Expo, he was very enthusiastic about ethanol, being from Nagpur area, where a lot of sugarcane growers and a lot of sugar mills. Now, the ethanol conversation began because it was in order to help the sugar mills, and became a narrative by this government to say, okay, we are doing some import substitution. So, in fact, if you live in a major city today, top 100 city, your car is already running on a blend of petrol and ethanol called E10, which is 10%, up to 10% ethanol. And from April 1st onwards, most cars, at least Maruti has made it very clear. I was speaking to C.V. Raman, the Executive Director Technology at Maruti Suzuki, and he said from April 1, every Maruti vehicle will be able to run on E20. But the government is very keen on something called flexible fuel vehicles, which you're going to read about in my next column. Which are going to be able to run on up to 85% ethanol. So literally more ethanol than petrol. Literally a little wee bit of
Kushan,
petrol.
you do mention that you mentioned Brazil.
Yes.
And the experiment being having gained some level of success there in that
Yes.
country. Are there more countries, or is it just Brazil that has found success in it?
Well, Brazil was growing too much sugarcane, and they were flooding the market with sugar back in the
Because
day.
when we talk purely in terms of technology that's available, some of the Western markets have more cutting edge technology when it comes to making sustainable fuel. So why only Brazil?
Because Brazil was growing too much sugarcane once upon a time, and they wanted their sugarcane growers to do something about it. India had also began with sugarcane, but then the government also realized we are growing far too much grain, and as our supply chains improve, we are acquiring so much grain. What to do with that grain? Whether it's rice, wheat, millets, barley, whatever, and you can say people threaten there'd be a wheat shortage this year now. This is weirdly enough a sort of mix between both the automotive sector and agriculture. You'll have to speak to agricultural journalists to get a better idea of this as well. But what's going to happen is the government has promised that they will buy ethanol for between 63 to 65 rupees a litre and blend it in petrol. So the ethanol can be gained from not just from sugarcane, but also from rice, from wheat. It'll be denatured, so you can't take that ethanol and, drink it like you would. But ethanol is, of course, the main thing. So 85% ethanol.
It's another intervention by the government. It continues in the auto sector. It could be disruptive. Can we call it disruptive? Because again, it'll as you have mentioned that it will bring new challenges for.
It will become, because you have to modify the engines significantly, because as anybody knows, if you've done your high school chemistry, alcohol is a solvent. You use alcohol as a nail polish remover, you can use alcohol as a disinfectant, and as a result, it damages moving metal parts. So your cylinders need changes. You cannot use, for example, rubber or plastic tubing. You have to have metal tubing. I saw the flexible fuel vehicle that Maruti has developed is a lot more metal, a lot more plumbing. You need different types of lubricating oils. Can it make a difference? Yes, but I also think that there's another factor. Again, if going back to chemistry, stoichiometry, if you remember all of that, ethanol has less calorific value than petrol. So each liter of ethanol has less bang than a liter of petrol, 20% less bang. So should there be a price discount on ethanol blended petrol? And So those are the issues we need to have. How much more will it cost, and how much of crude oil will we save?
Right.
These are all questions, but I think E85 is still a good year to 2 years away.
Well, then in that case, we still have to wait for some time. And before we let our viewers go, Kushan, it was a busy week for you, and
Yes.
you were also at the ICOTY.
Yes.
And Kushan was one of the jury members. You guys picked the best vehicle. Why did you pick it? What was it?
Oh,
A little bit of backstory, and then we'll.
As I said earlier in the video, it was the Kia Carens. And Kia Carens, I wrote in my year-end article that I thought the Kia Carens was the most relevant vehicle launched in 22 because when I took it to my toddler's school, and all the parents asked me about it. In fact, when I go to my toddler's school, and I went today, there are about 8 or 9 Carens over there. So it's the most relevant vehicle. Of course, people will ask questions about the award, but I think the scoring system, as I've explained in my weekend column, is very fair. And it was that. And the Mercedes-Benz EQS 580 won premium car by ICOTY. It's an excellent, excellent car. And premium cars you can give those awards to. And the Kia EV6 won the green car by ICOTY, and it's one of the best electric cars out there. So yeah, ICOTY was fun. We do a hard job of driving cars all over the world and all over the country.
More of that hard work will continue. We will continue to bring the best in the auto journalism for the print and its viewers. With that, we come to this episode of the Print Dashboard. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Kushan.
Thank you, Anurag.